Hello from Seoul. A lot of people are looking for something that's easy, nutritious, budget-friendly, and still tastes amazing. Sounds too good to be true? Then just invest 20 minutes on this. Trust me, if you do, your whole family will have a super satisfying dinner for a busy weeknight. Today, we're gonna be making Gyudon, one of the best beef rice bowls in the world. Soft tender beef and fragrant onions simmered in a Japanese-style savory sauce. If you have all of that in one bite with some warm rice, trust me, no fancy dinner can beat this humble rice bowl. So please give it a try. If you do, you will see why this simple comforting dish has become one of the best rice bowls in the world. For this, you will need some beef, onion, green onions, and rice. That's it. Simple ingredients, right? But if you want to feel more authentic Japanese vibe, bring this bad boy over here. Beni Shoga. Trust me, it may seem like nothing, but this pickled ginger will make you feel like it just came out of a Japanese restaurant. Alright, let's start with the onions. Take 2 medium onions and thinly slice them. If you like them to have some texture, you can totally slice them thicker. But if you're looking for a quick, easy weeknight dinner, I recommend slicing them thin, because that way, they will release their flavor much faster. Next, thinly slice 3 green onions. And as always, separate the whites and greens. Today, we're not making an aromatic oil, but we still use the white parts to build the flavor, and the green parts will be our beautiful garnish. So make sure you keep them separate, like this. Once that's done, take 1 pound of thinly sliced beef and cut that into nice bite-sized pieces. You can usually find this kind of thinly sliced beef at any Asian grocery store. And if you are in Korean groceries, look for bulgogi cut. Since I make this dish almost every week, I always stock up on bulgogi cuts from a Korean grocery store and keep them in the freezer. That way, whenever I want to make this dish, I can just pull out the beef from the freezer and whip it up in 10 minutes. Pretty good tip, right? What? No Asian grocery store near your place? Don't worry about it. Just grab any steak and pop it in the freezer. And then once it gets firm, but not rock solid, you can simply thinly slice it against the grain. Problem solved, right? Alright, let's move on to the sauce. In a small container, combine 1.5 cups of water, 6 tablespoons of soy sauce, 6 tablespoons of mirin, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of hondashi, Japanese dashi powder, and give it a good mix. Super simple, right? But if you're cooking for someone who can have alcohol, like a pregnant woman or kids, then just combine 1 3/4 cups of water, 6 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of hondashi, and give it a good mix. This way, even without mirin, you can still make a delicious gyudon. And that's how we made it during Claire's pregnancy. By the way, we have all the instructions and a list of ingredients on our blog, aaronandclaire.com. So please visit here if you need a written recipe. Alright, it's cooking time. Pour the sauce into a large pot. Add the sliced onions, white part of the green onions, and bring it to a boil. Once it starts boiling, reduce the heat to medium and let them simmer for about 2 minutes or until the onions turn translucent. And then add the sliced beef and gently separate any pieces that are sticking together. And then give it a good mix so every single piece can soak up all the flavorful sauce. Now, all we need to do is just cover it with a lid and let it simmer for about 5 minutes or until the beef is nice and tender. What? It's been 5 minutes, but the beef is not tender enough? Don't worry about it. Then just add a splash of water and let it simmer a little longer. Depending on the cut and the thickness of your beef, the cooking time can vary. So take your time and adjust to your taste. Trust me, it's gonna be amazing in the end. And this is totally optional, but if you want a cleaner broth, you can skim off the foam or any impurities as it simmers. Alright, the beef topping is ready to go. Let's start plating. Put some rice in a serving bowl and then place the beef and onions over the rice. Here, make sure to use chopsticks or tongs like I do, because if you scoop the toppings with a ladle, too much broth will come with it, and that will make your gyudon too salty. I warned you. So if your gyudon turns out too salty because you didn't take my advice, I'm totally not responsible. And then to that, add 1 or 2 tablespoons of the broth. That's it. Super simple, right? There's no reason not to try this at home. For information, I never throw out the leftover broth after finishing the gyudon. I add some mushrooms or tofu, simmer it again, and make a second rice bowl out of it. Pretty good tip, right? So give it a try. You will absolutely love that too. What? You wanna know this kind of tip more and more? I'm so glad you brought that up, because everything you need is in these 2 books. Trust me, with these bad boys, Simply Korean and Beyond Korean, you can cook 200 East Asian dishes like Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and even Korean fusion dishes like a pro. So don't forget to check them out. The link is in the description. Alright, to finish it off, let's add some pickled ginger and green onions on top. Couldn't be any easier, right? This is totally optional, but to make it look even prettier and tastier, I'm just gonna add a soft boiled egg. But you could also go with a sunny side up or even a poached egg. It's totally up to you. Whatever you do, they'll all add that nice creaminess and richness to your gyudon. Alright, it's done. You wanna know how it tastes? Let's call our taste tester.
Claire?
Ooh. It's gonna be a very short review because our baby is crying. But as always, it looks super delicious. Let's give it a try. 일단 색감이 되게 강렬하게 대조돼가지고 예쁘다.
구나 잠깐만 엄마 먹잖아.
고기가 되게 연해 보이는구만. Cheers. 맛있다. 소스도 짭조름하니 입맛을 그냥 쫙쫙 끌어주는 그런 맛이고, 고기도 되게 연해가지고 그냥 입에 넣자마자 그냥 너무 얇잖아. 그래가지고 그냥 입에 넣자마자 잘 부드럽게 그렇게 잘 넘어가는 그런 맛있는 맛입니다. 요즘과 같이 흔히 보느라고 솔직히 그냥 여러가지 반찬 놓고서 여유롭게 밥을 즐겨 먹을 수 없을 때, 이럴 때 나를 위한 정말 제격의 그런 음식인 것 같아. 그냥 딱 한 입 착 먹고 애 보고, 한 입 착 먹고 애 보고 하기 너무 좋은 음식인 것 같다. I think that's why he chose this menu for this week. Thank you, Aaron. I really enjoyed. Little Hoon is sleeping right now.
We all want that magical dinner, like quick and easy, budget friendly, and still delicious. What? Sounds impossible? No, not at all. With this amazing Japanese rice bowl, you can check all those boxes. Today, we're gonna be making Butadon, one of the best Japanese rice bowls of all time. For some reason, it's seriously underrated compared to Gyudon. But once you take a bite, you'll be like, wait, why isn't this more popular? Yeah, it's too delicious. Especially the version I'm showing you today, it'll be way more flavorful and packed with umami than most rice bowls out there. So I really hope you give it a shot. If you do, I'm sure your rice bowl rankings might change forever. For this, you'll need some pork, garlic, ginger, and some rice. That's it. Super simple, right? But if you want to impress your family or friends, then grab some green onions and soft boiled eggs. With these bad boys, you're basically bring Tokyo into your kitchen. Alright, let's start with the vegetables. First, smash 3 cloves of garlic and finely chop them. Since we're adding this to our marinade, the finer, the better. But if this sounds like too much work for you, feel free to use a grater. It's totally up to you. Next, grab a small knob of ginger and grate it. About half a teaspoon will be enough. Now, some of you might say, Aaron, that's such a small amount. Can I just skip it? Sure, you can skip it. But as I always say, pork and ginger, they're a match made in heaven, so I highly recommend using it. It might seem small, but it makes a huge difference in taste. Trust me, that little touch will take your Butadon to a whole new level. This time, green onions. Grab 2 green onions and thinly slice them. Today, we're gonna use all of it as a garnish, so no need to separate the white and greens. Alright, let's move on to the marinade for the pork. In a small container, add a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of sake, a 1/4 cup of mirin, half a teaspoon of hondashi, 1 tablespoon of water, 2 teaspoons of sugar, garlic, ginger, and give it a good mix. Here, if you don't want to use any alcohol, just swap the sake and mirin with water, and add a bit more hondashi and sugar. Even with that, you will still end up with a delicious Butadon. So, don't worry about it. Alright, it's time for the start of the show, pork belly. Today, I've got 1 pound of thinly sliced pork belly, and I'm just gonna cut it into nice bite-sized pieces. What? You can't find this kind of thin cut? Don't worry about it. If you only have thick cut, that's totally fine too. But just keep in mind that it will take a little longer to marinate. Once that's done, pour the marinade over the pork and gently massage it. And then let it sit at room temperature for about 5 minutes. That's it. So simple, right? Actually, you could just sear the pork first and pour the marinade directly into the pan, like a sauce. But if you invest a few minutes to marinate it like this, you will get way more tender and juicy pork at the end. So please don't skip this step. You won't regret it. Alright, everything is ready to go. Let's get cooking. In a large pan, add half a tablespoon of oil and heat it over medium-high heat. Once it gets nice and hot, add the marinated pork and spread it out evenly. And then stir fry for about 3 to 4 minutes or until it's beautifully charred and fully cooked. To get that nice beautiful char on the pork, I recommend cooking it in 2 batches. Otherwise, there will be too much moisture in the pan and your pork will end up steaming instead of searing. Alright, looks like it's done. Let's put the beautifully cooked pork pieces over the rice. Here, if you want to take it to the next level, like a restaurant quality, then just hit it with a blowtorch for a few seconds. Trust me, that beautiful smoky aroma you're looking for will be right in your rice bowl. Alright, to finish it off, let's put some green onions and soft boiled egg. How does it look? It looks absolutely fantastic, right? And this is totally optional, but I happen to have some Japanese pickled ginger left in the fridge, so I'm gonna add a little on top. Alright, it's really done. Let's see how it tastes.
Claire.
와, 엄청 푸짐하니 맛있어 보이네. As always, it looks super delicious. Let's give it a try. 오늘 아침에 프로틴바 하나 먹은 게 다여가지고 진짜 미친 듯이 배고파. 빨리 먹어야겠다. 자기도 배고프지 않아? 그치? 내가 빨리 먹고 같이 먹읍시다. 나중에 먹어야지. 아껴놓을 거야. It's made with pork, right? It looks nice and char. 이렇게 하고 약간의 some green onions. Ooh. Cheers! 엄청 맛있네. 이렇게 숯불에다가 싹 구워서 맛있게 밥 위에다 싹 올린 그런 느낌? 너무 맛있는데? 소스도 너무 달지 않고 그냥 짭조름하면서 되게 풍미가 한가득해가지고 누구든지 먹어도 너무 좋아할 것 같은데? 막 간장의 그런 맛을 제대로 살린 것 같은 느낌? 빨리 먹읍시다. I know Japanese people eat with only chopsticks, but I prefer to use a spoon when I eat 돈부리. 맞나? 돈부리 맞지? Rice bowl. 맛있어. 고맙게도 우리 훈이가 잘 놀아주고 있구만. For me, this is perfect as it is. But Aaron said, if you want to eat it with more sauce, then you can simmer the leftover marinade and drizzle over the rice. Then it'll be more flavorful. You're welcome.
Ever since Claire got pregnant, our daily life has been really hectic. If your days are just as busy as ours, trust me, this 15-minute teriyaki chicken will be the lifesaver.
Today, we're gonna be making the simplest version of teriyaki chicken. Just like the title says, it literally takes just 15 minutes. And I'm not talking about the trend chef's 15 minutes. This is a super simple recipe that even college students can handle. So I really hope you give it a try. For this, you will need some chicken. That's it, but we can't just eat the chicken. So to make it a well-balanced meal, let's get a bowl of hot rice, some salad greens, and some cherry tomatoes. What? Sauce ingredients? Don't worry about it. Everything we're gonna use for the sauce is probably already in your pantry, so you don't have to worry about it. Alright, let's start with the teriyaki sauce. What I'm gonna make today is the simplest version. But if you don't mind putting in a little bit more effort and wanna make a fancier version, then please check out our previous video. That's gonna be fantastic. Alright, in a small container, add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of mirin, 2 tablespoons of sake, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and give it a good mix. That's it! It's unbelievably simple, right? But this sauce contains a little bit of alcohol. So for Claire, our hungry pregnant bird, let's make a non-alcohol version as well. In another container, add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of corn syrup, a quarter teaspoon of hondashi, Japanese dashi powder, and mix it well. Today I used corn syrup, but honey or even Coke works great for this recipe. So just use whatever works for you. As always, everything will turn out fantastic. By the way, we have all the instructions and a list of ingredients on our blog, aaronandclaire.com. So please visit here if you need a written recipe. Now, let's prep the chicken. Today, I'm using 450 grams of boneless skin on chicken thighs because the fat from the skin makes it more flavorful. But if you prefer chicken breast or boneless skinless chicken thighs, go ahead and use that. No problem at all. Now, if you look at the chicken thigh, you will see it's a bit irregular. So the first thing we're gonna do is gently flatten it out using the back of your knife. Trust me, this little detail will help the chicken cook more evenly and give you the best result. Once that's done, pat them dry with some paper towels and season both sides with salt and pepper. And then lightly coat them with some potato starch. What? No potato starch at home? Don't worry about it. You can also use cornstarch or AP flour. No problem at all. Now, some of you might say, Aaron, I'm too busy on a weeknight. I can't be bothered with all of that. Okay, I get it. Then you can skip this step. But if you do, it not only gives the chicken a crispy texture, but it also helps it absorb more of the sauce. So when you taste it, it'll be much more flavorful. I'm not gonna force you. It's your call. Alright, our chicken is ready to go. Let's get cooking. In a large pan, add 1 tablespoon of oil and heat it over medium-high heat. Once it gets nice and hot, place the chicken skin side down and cook for about 4 minutes. To get nice even browning, move them around a little bit and gently press them down with your spatula. Once you've got good color on one side, flip and cook the other side for about 4 to 5 minutes or until they're cooked through. Here, if your chicken is too thick, the outside might burn before the inside is cooked. So in that case, reduce the heat to medium-low and cover the pan with a lid. Once your chicken is cooked, wipe off the excess oil. Yes, it adds to the flavor, so if you want to leave it, you can do that too. But today, I'm gonna get rid of it to enjoy more cleaner taste. Alright, let's pour the sauce over the chicken and simmer it for about 2 minutes over medium-low heat. During this step, make sure to flip the chicken pieces over and over so that they can absorb our teriyaki sauce. Once the sauce has thickened and the chicken is beautifully glazed, turn the heat off. Now we're just gonna remove them from the pan and let them rest for a few minutes. Once they are cool enough to handle, just slice them into nice bite-sized pieces. Alright, it's time to plate this up. Let's put some rice on a serving plate and add half of the chicken, some salad greens, and cherry tomatoes. And last but not least, for extra flavor, pour some leftover sauce from the pan. Alright, our weeknight teriyaki chicken is done. How does it look? It looks absolutely delicious, right? Alright, let's go to our taste tester.
Claire?
Wow, the chicken is beautifully glazed. It looks super delicious. Let's give it a try. Look at this. It looks beautiful, right? 딱 맛있어 보이네. Wow. It is still steaming. It looks super delicious. 냄새도 너무 좋다. Cheers! 언제 먹어도 정말 이 홈메이드 치킨 테리야키는 정말 너무 맛있는 것 같아. 너무 맛있어. 밖에서 사 먹었을 때보다 나는 항상 이 소스가 더 맛있더라고. 너무 맛있네. 오늘 이거 미림이랑 사케를 안 넣고 임산부를 위한 약간의 레시피를 변형을 해가지고 만든 거라고 들었는데 내가 먹던 거랑 별 큰 차이 없이 너무 여전히 맛있고 그리고 거기에 그 일본 특유의 약간의 그 다시의 향이 좀 녹아져 있어가지고 엄청 향긋하니 맛있네. 오, 원래 먹던 거랑 맛이 크게 다르지 않아서 특별히 말하지 않으면은 사람들이 잘 모를걸? 진짜 꼭 임산부 아니더라도 술 넣는 거 좀 꺼려하는 사람들은 이런 식으로 레시피 살짝 변형해가지고 하면 너무 괜찮을 것 같아. 오, good job! And thank you! 하나 더 먹어봅시다. 이번엔 밥이랑 먹을 거야. 밥에도 이렇게 소스가 사라락 묻어있어가지고 너무 맛있을 것 같아. Cheers! 이 맛이지. 정말 맛있다. 막 이렇게 튀긴 것도 아닌데도 치킨의 그 껍질이 바삭바삭해지면서 훨씬 더 맛있게 만들어주거든. 정말 너무 좋아. 이 조리법. 너무 마음에 들어. Seriously, this way, even if you're not a big fan of chicken with the skin on, you're gonna love it so much. It's so good. Highly recommend it.
Before we start, let me be honest with you. This is definitely not a super authentic recipe, but I dare say it's gonna be the best Oyakodon that you ever had. Yeah, I made it better.
Today, we're gonna be making a Japanese chicken and egg rice bowl called Oyakodon. But like I said earlier, this is not the typical one. As always, we're gonna make it better. When I visited Tokyo, I found this Oyakodon made with ground chicken, and that was amazing. I felt like that's the ultimate version of it, so I'm gonna put my own twist on it here and there and make it simple but delicious. For this, you will need some chicken, onion, garlic, ginger, eggs, and a bowl of hot rice. Considering its upgraded version, you only need some basic ingredients, right? But if you could get some Japanese herb called mitsuba, you'll feel like you're in Tokyo. What? There's no way to get this? Don't worry about it. Then bring our love, green onion. Maybe that could be more delicious. Alright, let's start off with the vegetables. First, finely dice half an onion. Since we're gonna be using ground chicken, if it's too chunky, there might be some kind of imbalance in texture, so it's better to cut it into small pieces. Next, smash 2 cloves of garlic and finely chop them. Once that's done, grate a small knob of ginger. About half a teaspoon will be enough. And lastly, roughly chop some mitsuba. That's it! So simple, right? Now let's mince our chicken. Today, I'm gonna be using 500 grams of boneless skin on chicken thigh. Here, some of you might say, Aaron, can I use chicken breast? I wish I could say yes, but the fat from the chicken thigh is a key ingredient in this recipe. It will add a depth of flavor into our sauce, and that's gonna bring it to the next level. This time, let's make the sauce one of the most important components of this dish. In a small container, add 1 cup of water, half a tablespoon of chicken bouillon powder, 4.5 tablespoons of soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of mirin, half a tablespoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of hondashi, and give it a good mix. What? No hondashi in your house? Then you can replace it with chicken bouillon powder. Don't worry about it. Still gonna be fantastic. Alright, everything is all set. Let's get cooking. In a wok or pot, add 1 tablespoon of oil and heat it over medium-high heat. Once it gets nice and hot, throw in your onion, garlic, ginger, and saute those for about 2 to 3 minutes or until they're lightly browned. Once your kitchen is filled with the amazing aroma, add in your ground chicken. We're just gonna cook and keep stirring it for about 6 minutes. Once most of the liquid has evaporated and you've got some fat from the chicken, pour in the sauce and give it a good mix. When it comes to a boil, reduce the heat to medium-low, cover and simmer for about 10 minutes. That's it! So simple, right? It's almost like making a ragu sauce, right? If you have some time on the weekend, you can make a big batch, store it in the fridge or freezer, and then reheat it whenever you need a quick and easy meal. Awesome, right? So please give this a try. You won't regret it. What? You wanna know this kind of tip more and more? I'm so glad you brought that up because everything you need is in these 2 books. Trust me, with these bad boys, Simply Korean and Beyond Korean, you can cook 200 East Asian dishes like Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and even Korean fusion dishes like a pro. So don't forget to check them out. The link is in the description. Alright, our meat sauce is done. Set it aside and let's make our rice bowl. Since Oyakodon is usually cooked 1 portion at a time, I'm gonna be 2 eggs, 1 portion now. Here, you don't have to mix it too much. Just give it a few stirs like you're too lazy. Trust me, this little tip will give you a beautiful gradation at the end. Now get yourself a small pan and ladle some meat sauce into your pan. The meat sauce is for 4 servings, so I'm gonna use about a quarter. And then bring it to a boil over medium heat. Again, I'm gonna cook 1 portion at a time, just to make it more pretty, like a restaurant. But if you don't have enough time, or your hungry birds at home can't wait that long, you can use a larger pan, make 2 portions at a time, and split it at the end. No problem at all. Alright, once it starts to boil, add in your beaten eggs. And then top it up with some mitsuba. Now all you need to do is just cover and let that cook for about 1 to 2 minutes, or until the eggs reach your desired doneness. But I recommend not overcooking the eggs. Trust me, those soft and runny eggs are really gonna make you feel like you're in Tokyo right now. Once the eggs are cooked, remove it from the heat and slide it over the rice. How does it look? It looks lovely, right? Alright, it's done. Let's call our taste tester.
Claire?
와, 집에서 아주 어마무시하게 맛있는 냄새 나네. 뚜껑 열어도 되지? 오 마이 갓. 와, 엄청 촉촉하니 맛있어 보인다. It looks a little bit different from what I know, but as long as it's tasty, I don't mind at all. Let's give it a try. Ooh. Cheers. 뭐야, 왜 이렇게 맛있어? 그냥 한 입 먹는 순간 계속 먹고 싶게 만들어주네. 일단 위에 있는 계란이 살짝 러니하잖아. 그래서 그런지 닭을 엄청 촉촉하니 부드럽게 싹 만들어주고, 거기다 우리가 일반적으로 알고 있는 오야코돈 같은 경우는 이게 되게 짧은 시간 안에 조리를 막 하잖아. 좀 이것보다 더 큰 덩어리로 된 닭고기를. 그래서 그런지 어떨 때는 소스랑 닭이랑 좀 따로 노는 그런 느낌이 있단 말이야. 근데 이건 간고기를 썼잖아. 그래서 그런지 그 작은 입자 사이사이에 소스가 샥 배면서 엄청 간이 샥 잘 밴 느낌이야. 거기다가 그 닭 자체에서 오는 그 지방이 되게 이 소스 자체를 녹진하게 진하게 만들어주면서 되게 응축된 맛으로 훨씬 감칠맛이 높고 맛있어. 대박. 진짜 맛있다. 와, it makes a huge difference in taste. I just love it. 너무 맛있는데? 그리고 난 미츠바를 먹은 것 같은데 다른 거에 너무너무 깜짝 놀래가지고 그런지 미츠바가 엄청 향이 막 나고 심하게 나고 막 이러진 않았던 것 같아. 근데 오텐틱한 느낌을 좀 줄 수 있는 그런 요소인 것 같아. 오, 맛있다. 오, 도전해볼 만하다 이거 진짜. 약간의 그 조금의 테크닉이 내가 알고 있는 그 오야코동을 업그레이드 시켜주네. 그 물에 빠진 그 흐물흐물한 그런 물컹물컹한 닭의 식감을 싫어하는 사람한테는 진짜 제격인 것 같아. 심지어 약간 이렇게 딱 봤었을 때 차도 있어. Once you have a bite of this, you will know what I'm talking about. So good.